Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for God's glory. I have my good friend Leah here. She's going to share her testimony.
I was a little girl who had a lot of love, but I didn't have my father. My mom would periodically allow me to speak to him, and sometimes he would send me letters, but something would always hinder the communication between me and him. One day, someone brought me to church, and I started to learn about who God is. And then I accepted Jesus as my Lord. Building into the fullness and of understanding of who God is, I struggled because I didn't have a dad. I always desired to have that male figure in my life. I had to pick up the pieces from other males that came in and out of my life, and I would just see them, okay, well, this has to be what a man is like, but I still desired my dad. So as I grew up into an adult, I started seeking the Lord with all my heart, soul, and mind. I received a revelation of who Jesus is and that he is Lord. And I was excited. A little before that, I said, you know what, Lord? I give the wanting of my dad to you, and I accept you as my father. And I did that without hate, without unforgiveness, with excitement. And I literally had no animosity whatsoever towards my dad, but love and accepting of the situation. One day, I went to church, and as there was a service going on, and the pastor, he was speaking on one of the scriptures, and he said, I'm sorry. He stopped in the middle of it, and he said, I'm sorry. I have to tell you something that the Lord's telling me. And he said that the Lord said that he's going to restore all your past relationships that were lost within 7 days. I didn't quite understand everything. I was just excited, and I was just like, wow. And I just took it. So as the days continued on, the next day I called my aunt. I was like, you know what? Let's look for my dad. So I looked for him in the, I think it was on the Yellow Pages, and also on the internet. And we found a couple people with his first and last name. And this one just had to be him because of the area code and everything was 1 point. And we called, and he answered the phone, and I was kind of nervous, but I was just like, this is your daughter. And he was super excited to hear from me. He was so excited. He said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and pay for you for a flight within the next couple days to come see me so we can catch up. I was available at the time, so I was ready and excited to go. So I then went to visit my dad, and I also was able to express in how I approached him was that I had forgiveness. He didn't see any anger from me. I was at peace with everything. Even though he had pain from just not being there in my life. Because I was so loving, we could just have this wonderful, peaceful talk. And it was like everything that ever happened didn't even matter anymore. Then he took me to see my grandmother that I saw when I was 3 years old. And then my uncle. And then my other aunt. And my cousin that I never met. And I was just so ecstatic about everything, because I'm like, wow, I let this go. And I'm like, this is happening for me. Like, Lord, what did I do to deserve this? And then I realized, and remembering what the pastor said, he said within 7 days, he was going to restore my past relationships. And as I thought about it, I was like, my goodness, this happened. And I was thankful. I was able to talk to my dad about Jesus, and we would talk, and he felt comfortable. It was a very peaceful visit. And then I went home, and I thought to myself, when God asks you to cast all your cares to him, do it. Because if I held in the anger or the disappointment from all those years and would have seen my dad, it probably would have turned out different, or I would not have been blessed. But since I walked into it trusting God and had forgiveness, that the desires of my heart that I forgot about, God gave it to me. First Peter 5:6 says, humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time, casting all your cares upon him, for he cares for you. If you give all your cares to the Lord and trust him, even when you don't understand the situation, he will give you that peace. You may even get what you lost restored, or you will be restored with understanding. So many of us hold unforgiveness, not realizing that we're actually hurting ourselves. Trust God, and he will restore and establish.
On the next episode of Word Flow Testimonies, you'll be hearing from Aisha and her testimony titled, The Manifestation of a Familiar Spirit.